You're watching South Asia Newsline, and here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Wednesday, the 6th of August. Rescue operations continue as cloudburst causes flash floods in India. Pakistan police arrests 240 protesters demanding ex-PM Imran Khan's release. And Bangladesh to hold elections by February 2026, says interim leader. And now for all the details. Flash floods triggered by a cloudburst devastated Uttarkashi district in India's Uttarakhand state on Tuesday, washing away homes and roads. Nearly 150 people have been rescued so far as rescue efforts continue to find the missing.
Flash floods triggered by a cloudburst have caused widespread devastation in Darali village, Hasil Valley, and Suki Top in Uttarkashi district of India's Uttarakhand state. At least 4 people have reportedly lost their lives, and several others are still missing. The Indian Army, Indo-Tibetan Border Police, National Disaster Response Force, and State Disaster Response Force are leading rescue operations in the affected areas. So far, nearly 150 people have been safely rescued, and efforts are ongoing to locate those still unaccounted for.
देखिए ये जो अभी टीम्स ऑलरेडी मौजूद है वहाँ पर आईटीबीपी की हैं, एसडीआरएफ हैं, बीआरओ हैं, वो लोग अभी काम कर रहे हैं घटना स्थल पर और राहत शिविर जो है वहाँ पर लगाया गया है। तो तकरीबन 150 लोगों को अभी सुरक्षित स्थानों पर पहुँचाया गया है और लोगों की खोज हो रही है।
आपदा प्रबंधन जो हमारा डिपार्टमेंट है वो सभी प्रकार के जो नए इक्विपमेंट्स हैं उनको उपलब्ध कराने का काम कर रहा है। सेना के हेलीकॉप्टर भी तैनात हैं। जैसे ही ये जो मौसम ठीक होता है तो वो सेना के हेलीकॉप्टरों से भी रेस्क्यू अभियान किया जाएगा। भोजन पैकेट इत्यादि बनाए गए हैं, भोजन सामग्री की कमी न हो, डॉक्टरों की टीम भी बनाई गई है। इसके साथ साथ खाद्य विभाग भी पूरी तरह से एक्टिवेट है। बिजली की जो सप्लाई है कल पूरी तरह से वो लाइनें क्षतिग्रस्त हो गई थी। बिजली को फिर से रिस्टोर करने का काम तेजी से चल रहा है।
The army camp in Hasil, located just 4 kilometers from the devastated village of Darali, was also struck by the sudden flash floods. 11 army personnel remain missing. Efforts to restore electricity continued, but relentless weather conditions were hampering rescue operations till last reports came in. Despite the challenges, Uttarakhand CM Pushkar Singh Dhami has assured that both the government and rescue teams are working tirelessly, pushing their efforts to the limit.
Moving on, police in Pakistan arrested over 240 opposition activists on Tuesday during protests marking 2 years since former Prime Minister Imran Khan's jailing. Khan's Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf party organized the demonstrations to demand his release. In Lahore, 122 protesters were arrested for blocking roads, while another 120 were detained in overnight raids across Punjab. PTI claimed over 200 arrests in Lahore alone. Protests were reported in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Karachi, Muzaffarabad and Quetta, where police used tear gas to disperse crowds. Nearly 2,000 PTI supporters demonstrated in Karachi before being forced to disperse. Khan, ousted in 2022 after falling out with the military, was convicted in a 2024 corruption case but denies all charges. In a message shared via PTI's social media, he called for peaceful protests until true democracy is restored. The Punjab government accused PTI of inciting chaos, an allegation the party denies. Hundreds of PTI members have been convicted over 2023 protests. On Tuesday, 9 PTI parliamentarians were disqualified. Though PTI emerged as the largest party in 2024 election, it claims it was denied a majority due to rigging, an accusation rejected by Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif. And traders in Pakistan-occupied Gilgit-Baltistan are once again raising their voice, protesting what they call unjust taxation at the Sost dry port. Despite a court ruling in their favor, authorities continue to enforce federal taxes. We have a report.
Traders in Pakistan-occupied Gilgit-Baltistan have continued to stage protests at the Sost dry port, demanding an end to customs delays and federal taxes on imports. Despite a July 2024 court ruling that exempts them from certain federal taxes, customs officials allegedly continue to enforce them. protest leaders now allege unlawful detentions aimed at derailing their movement.
3 दिन पहले रात को हमें बगैर किसी वारंट के घर पर चारदीवारी को पामाल करते हुए पुलिस फोर्स ने हमें उठाया बगैर किसी मकसद का। उनका मकसद ये था कि जो ताजिर बरदरी का एक एहतजाज अपने हुकूक़ के लिए होने जा रहा था उसको नाकाम करने के लिए एक उनकी साजिश थी। तो उसके बाद हमारी जो तहरीक है इसका मकसद ये है कि हमें जो हुकूक़ है कस्टम के अंदर इनकम टैक्स, सेल्स टैक्स और दूसरे जो कस्टम ड्यूटी के अलावा जितने टैक्सेस हमारे ऊपर वो लागू नहीं होते हैं, चूँकि हम आइनी तौर पे पाकिस्तान के सूबे नहीं हैं।
Traders say their protest is a peaceful demand for constitutional rights and warn authorities against escalating tensions.
वाज़ेह तौर पे ये लिखा गया कि गिलगित बल्तिस्तान नॉन टेरिफ एरिया है, FBR अपना बंदोबस्त थाकोट के मुकाम पे करे, लेकिन अलमिया ये है कि अब तक उस पर अमल दरामद नहीं हुआ। यहाँ जितने भी ताजिर बैठे हैं ये आइन की बालादस्ती चाहते हैं, ये चाहते हैं आइन ने जो हमें हुकूक दिए हैं उनके ऊपर फ़ौरन अमल दरामद हो।
With authorities still unresponsive and tensions mounting, traders warn that if their grievances continue to be ignored, the unrest in Pakistan-occupied Gilgit-Baltistan could spiral into a much larger crisis.
आप इधर का भी मारते हैं, आप उधर का भी मारते हैं, उनको भी कहते हो जनाब इस सीट पे बने कोई काम नहीं हो रहा है। आप अपने फौजी अदारे के जरिए तिजारत चला लेते हो। जब दोनों चीजें करते हो तो हमें डाउट होता है, हमें शक होता है। और आप उधर भी मिले हुए हो, आप इधर भी मिले हुए हो।
And as the Taliban is set to mark the 4th anniversary of its takeover of Afghanistan, the Human Rights Watch on Tuesday stated that despite extensive documentation of the group's abuses, including bans on girls' education, extreme restrictions on women, suppression of dissent, and arbitrary arrests of journalists, no meaningful accountability mechanism has been established. It also urged the UNHRC to create an independent international body to investigate and monitor human rights violations committed under the Taliban regime. Taliban officials have detained people for alleged infractions of the law, such as playing music, wearing inappropriate hijabs, or failing to separate women from men in work environments, the statement read. Since August 2021, the Taliban have intensified their crackdown on women, journalists, and political critics, reversing years of progress in human rights and civil liberties, informed the organization. The report further noted that the forced deportation of nearly 1.9 million Afghan migrants from Iran and Pakistan, along with sharp declines in international humanitarian aid, has significantly worsened the crisis in the nation. Moving on, thousands of Bangladeshis gathered in Dhaka on Tuesday as the interim government led nationwide celebrations marking 1 year since mass protests forced former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to flee the country. Amid the celebrations, interim chief advisor Mohammad Yunus announced that national elections will be held by February 2026, revising the previously suggested timeline of late 2025. The announcement comes in response to growing public dissatisfaction with the slow pace of democratic reform and increasing demands for a return to elected government. The commemoration, featuring rallies, concerts, and prayer sessions, honored what many are calling the country's second liberation. The day concluded with Yunus reading the July Declaration, a symbolic charter calling for constitutional recognition of the 2024 student-led uprising that toppled Hasina's administration.
আমরা এবার একটা নির্বাচিত সরকারের কাছে দায়িত্ব হস্তান্তরের প্রক্রিয়া শুরু করব। অন্তর্বর্তী সরকারের পক্ষ থেকে আমি প্রধান নির্বাচন কমিশনারের কাছে চিঠি পাঠাব যেন নির্বাচন কমিশন আগামী রমজানের আগে 2026 সালের ফেব্রুয়ারি মাসে জাতীয় নির্বাচন অনুষ্ঠানের আয়োজন করেন।
The Bangladesh Nationalist Party, led by former PM Khalida Zia, which had called for elections to be held before the 2025 end to prevent a political vacuum, welcomed by the February vote. While Hasina's Awami League remains suspended, many believe it should be allowed to participate despite its top leadership facing prosecution for alleged human rights violations during last year's protests. Moving on, ahead of the 60th session of the UN Human Rights Council, Tamil political parties and civil groups in Sri Lanka have written to UN Rights Chief Volker Turk, urging stronger action against Colombo's failure to ensure justice for the country's Tamil minority. Led by Tamil National People's Front leader Gajen Ponnambalam, the letter accuses the UN of abandoning Tamils during the final stages of the civil war and allowing mass atrocities to go unpunished in the years since. The groups demand that the UNHRC adopt a resolution acknowledging that no genuine accountability mechanism has emerged in the 16 years since the war ended. While open to extending the High Commissioner's existing accountability program, they insist it must have a clear time frame. They oppose any resolution that gives the Sri Lankan government more time or political space to pursue domestic mechanisms and call for international oversight in re-excavating the Chimani mass grave and mapping burial sites in the north and the east. The letter also highlights ongoing issues like militarization, land grabs, and calls for repealing the Prevention of Terrorism Act and the Online Safety Act. In response, Turk acknowledged the failure of successive governments to establish credible accountability and pledged that the upcoming UNHRC report will reflect these concerns. Sri Lanka, home to 2.27 million Tamils, saw a brutal 26-year civil war end in 2009. Tamil groups say the UN has since failed to take decisive steps to address wartime crimes or protect minority rights. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.